Hey y'all, it's Renegade, and it's time to spill more Reali-Tea in another Reali-Tea retrospective. As always, this series will take a deep dive at some of the most popular shows that have finished here in 2024. We'll start with my spoiler-free review to give anyone who hasn't seen the show a taste of just what you're in for. Then we'll get into an episode-by-episode review of the most needed to be talked about moments. So let's get some discussion going in the comments below, y'all. In today's recap, we take a trip to the United Kingdom in the sequel to the first infamous Global All-Star season as we get ready to step the competition up to an Olympian level. Let me welcome you all to RuPaul's Drag Race UK vs. the World Season 2. In this follow-up to the chaotic debut season, known for its controversial eliminations, we see if the UK can defend their title against even more queens, with an international cast including USA's Mayhem Miller and Scarlet Envy, Australia's Hannah Conda, France's La Grande Dame, Holland's Kenna Minaj, Philippines' Marina Summers, and Spain's Arantxa Castilla-La Mancha, who are set to take on UK's Gothy Kendall, Tia Kofi, Theresa May, and Jongleurs Blonde in a bid to be Mama Ru's favorite. But will the UK Queens be able to take home the victory yet again, with even more countries joining the battle this time? And will the battle even be one worth watching in the first place? Well, let's find out in my spoiler-free review. Now, as y'all know by now, I'm a huge fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, but I kind of find the Versus the World series perhaps the most unnecessary out of the franchises, mostly because it feels like they turn out to be a collection of queens that sort of favors the hosting country. Which I mean is fine and all, but the whole idea is to give one of your queens an all-star title, then why not just do a traditional franchise all-stars like Hispania just did, which turned out to be one of the most successful additions of the show to date. There's still a lot of benefits to this format in that it takes one queen from each foreign franchise and really gives them the opportunity to shine in an international audience. I assume the Global All Stars will basically be the US version of this format later this year, so I don't expect to see the Versus the World format going anywhere anytime soon, but I do like that they actually stuck to their top two and bottom two each week, and the judges are a lot of fun for this format here. So, despite my criticisms, I'll give the format a B. Now, for our next category here, I do want to say I actually find the international members of the UK versus the World cast to be some of the stronger cast members of this season. They were able to find a lot of runner ups and top placers from their original seasons from franchises that are less known to the global audience, so I think the season's strength was really having those queens get to show off their talents. Now, where the weakness for me comes in actually is from the home country's queens, as I'm not sure if the four UK queens they got for the season are necessarily the strongest for me. And I do kind of think to make up for this, they kind of turn their best performer into a gigantic frontrunner to the point where it just feels kind of obvious they're being pushed because they have no better options. It also just doesn't feel like there's a lot of chemistry between these queens either. I don't know, their interactions aren't just very exciting to me, nor is there really any drama. I just think we've seen stronger collections of queens this year, even on some of the mainline franchises. So, that being said, I'm going to give this cast a B for being a good group of queens who just lack any sort of synergy whatsoever. Now, when it comes to the story and editing, what is there to say that I haven't already said before? I will say I do think this is the weakest season for me overall that I've watched this year again in this category, as it just feels like there's a lot of reused storylines that we get from season to season, and the editing feels very obvious and predictable. I don't really have too much to say, especially about anything this season, although I do think the edit makes it very clear who the frontrunners are going to be from the start and doesn't really even try to hide it. And due to all this, I do wonder how much this season I'm actually going to remember when it's over. I'll give it a B minus for being inoffensive, but highly unremarkable. Overall, I'm just kind of here for the season of UK versus the world. Obviously, I watched it from start to finish, but I will say my investment overall was not as high as any other season of Drag Race that I've watched this year. Despite there being some standout moments from the cast, there just wasn't any real consistency when it came to their star power, and for those who like a little excitement, there weren't really any drama or fights or any synergy really at all with this cast to kind of speak of here. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but just underwhelmed, I think is a great word to describe my thoughts on the season. I'm gonna rate RuPaul Drag Race UK versus the World 2 with a B for being a solid yet slightly forgettable entry into the pantheon known as Drag Race. So, now that you know what the show is and what my thoughts are on it, let's get into the real tea, y'all. If you haven't seen the show, I definitely suggest stopping here or use the chapter guide to go to specific episodes. So, let's meet our queens as they enter the runway for the first time this season. We start with Tia Kofi, the Baroness of Basic of Drag Race UK Season 2, 7th place. We have Hannah Conda, co-runner-up of Drag Race Down Under Season 2. Arantxa Castilla-La Mancha, the Spanish Hannah Montana from Drag Race España Season 1, 7th place. Mayhem Miller of Drag Race US Season 10 and Drag Race All Stars Season 5, 10th and 6th place respectively. Theresa May, 6th place from Drag Race UK Season 3, half of the iconic double elimination that she will say. La Grande Dame, the co-runner-up of Drag Race France Season 1. Marina Summers, runner-up from Drag Race Philippines Season 1. John Brisblon, the delusional queen from Drag Race UK Season 4, tied for 3rd place. Hannah Minaj, the dark evil witch from Drag Race Holland 2, 4th place. Rude, by the way. Scarlet Envy from Drag Race US Season 11 and Drag Race All Stars Season 6, 10th and 9th place, respectively. And Gothy Kendall, the original loser of Drag Race UK Season 1. Now, Raven also comes out here pretending to be a contestant again, but instead shades that there's no Jujubee. And then she introduces Rue. Always nice to see Raven, so that was a little funny. The Rue comes out, sounding a little funny, feeling a little stuffed up there, but she's determined to do her job, so we appreciate your resilience here, Rue. Now, she announces for the first time in Drag Race UK history that the winner gets a cash prize of £50,000, which I don't know. Is that a lot of money? I don't know pounds. Um, Uncultured American here. Now, Rue also announces here that they will be competing in their first challenge, the Queen's Variety Show, and All-Star rules are officially in effect. Looks like the groups are going to be the 4 UK queens, as Gothy, Tia, Teresa, and John Burrs laugh over the fact that among them, only one of them have a Rue Peter badge, meaning only one of them have actually won a challenge. Then we have the 2 US queens, Mayhem and Scarlet, who find themselves not really knowing anybody else and kind of kikiing about everybody. And then we have the queens who have English as a second language, like Arancha, Keta, and Marina, who seem to be bonding. Not really sure where Hannah or Legrand fit at the moment, but they seem to also be having their moment as well. Now, Mayhem reveals in the workroom that she has long COVID, and she's kind of rebranding herself in the talent show, even though she's a little worried because she forgot her words the first time, while Hannah tells her to kick it in the dick, which, rude, why would you kick someone in the dick? Now, the queens do their variety show and then hit the runway for their four queen and country looks, and we learn that Kenna Minaj, John Brisblon, Arancha Castilla-La Mancha, Tia Coffee, and Hannah Conda are all safe. For this episode, our tops are Marina Summers, who gets positive comments on the performance and having very difficult shoes she performs in. She also does this really cool thing where she uses these weighted balls that glow in the dark while she's performing, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Theresa May also gets very high critiques for starting off the show very well, and La Grande Dame also gets very positive critiques for her very over-the-top, ridiculous performance for doing the Laugh DJ track, but it was really, really funny. Now, for our bottoms, we have Scarlet Envy, who gets critiques for her ideas being funny, but not entirely fleshed out 100%. Mayhem Miller also gets critiqued for blanking out during performance again and forgetting all the words. It's funny, but she just is not committed to the ideas she needs to be, and it's very clear for Mayhem that talent shows just aren't very kind to her. And then finally, Gothy Kendall also gets positive critiques on her idea of doing a fire performance, but she just didn't seem very present, and her nerves seemed to cause her to kind of rush through the performance and just get to the ending. That even she seemed very surprised that it even worked out. Now, after the judging is revealed here, Theresa May and Scarlet Envy are deemed safe, and we learned that our top two of the week are Marina Summers and La Grande Dame, and our bottom two will be Gothy Kendall and Mayhem Miller. Now, Mayhem knew that she was going to be in the bottom, but she's happy that she took a risk and not sad that her jokes were and she's not sad that her jokes were funny because they made her laugh at least. Meanwhile, Gothy is kind of shocked to be in the bottom two again right out of the gate, but it seems like she kind of had an idea. I mean, Gothy does kind of move around like a Barbie doll, so you had to know being that stiff that you were probably in trouble on an all-star stage. Now, Mayhem tries to make an alliance with both of the tops. The Grand Dame seems a little more receptive to the idea, but Marina does not seem into it at all. Whereas Gothy just really wants a second chance and points out that if Mayhem really knew the game, she wouldn't be in the bottom two again. So Marina and La Grande Dame make their decisions and then come back to the main stage where they lip sync to Dreamer by Live and Joy. And Marina is such a great performer. She's so high energy here. While La Grande Dame tries to do a lot more of like a slower and comedic performance, but I'm just not sure it worked as well for the song. Now, In this situation here, Marina absolutely kills it and gets the win, and now has to decide which of the bottom two she will be eliminating, setting off the tone for the season. So, Gothy Kendall and Mayhem Miller step up to find their fate, and Marina's decision is revealed. It is Mayhem Miller, who ultimately her attempts to form an alliance fall on deaf ears. She's the first queen pulled to sashay away this season, all the way back to America. Now, I do think this makes Mayhem the first US queen to ever leave an international franchise first, which is a shame because she just has so much experience on the show. It's just unfortunate that her talent show was rough again, and her redemption to remember her lyrics just fell flat. Her talent show had a lot of potential too, and I really would have liked to see Mayhem thrive on the show like I know she does outside the show. But sadly, after three attempts, it could just be safe to say Mayhem's strength may does not translate onto the Drag Race main stage, as a lot of other queens' strengths do. And there's nothing wrong with that because she still slays, and I'm very happy to see her at least make an appearance after hearing that she had long COVID. Now, episode 2 begins with Marina entering back into the workroom and cleaning off Mayhem Miller's message. Happy that she makes the first kill in the competition, and it's kind of sad that she has to get rid of a US drag legend, but doesn't seem that sad because I'm pretty sure she's happier to have the win. She is happy that she also got to give Gothi more of a chance to show. The Grand Dame reveals she also selected Mayhem as lipstick, meaning that everybody is pretty much on the same page as far as this first elimination goes. The UK queens are have a quick meeting while de-dragging, causing Hannah to jokingly call them out as an alliance that it really is UK versus the world. But little does Hannah know that she might unintentionally be right. Now the next morning, Scarlett, who is now nervous that she's the only US queen, points out that there's four UK queens and wonders if any of them are nervous that they might be targets, where Teresa feels that they could have taken Gothi out for that reason last time, but they didn't, so she thinks everybody's here to play fair. Arantxa shadily remarks in confessionals that she doesn't think that's the case, and the UK girls should have a target. One who doesn't feel like a target, though, is Tia Coffee, who is proud to have finally walked the runway in front of the judges in an outfit that wasn't shit. And she thinks she has officially shed her label of Baroness Basic from her original season. I mean, we love your glow up, your Tia. Now, in the mini challenge, we have the classic voting for superlatives, and in the first title, the fairest of the land, with 7 votes, Marina Summers gets crowned the prettiest queen. The next title, shadiest in the land, goes to Hannah Kana, 5 votes. The mightiest in the land. Now, this one is closer as they determine who is their biggest competitor, as Hannah and the Grand Dame also get a lot of votes, but with 4 votes, Marina Summers is also deemed the biggest competition, which Scarlett notes that might not be the best title to have this early on in the game. Now, the neediest in the land comes down to votes between John Burrs and Arantxa Castillo-La Mancha, with Arantxa getting 5 votes, and she's just happy to have finally won something here on Drag Race. Now, for that, though, she does get a 10-second head start in picking materials for their next maxi challenge, the Happy Ending Ball. Now, the 3 categories for this ball, as always, is 2 looks from home and 1 look to be made in the workroom. The categories this season are Lady Prince Charming, She-Evil Queen, and to be made in the workroom, Drags to Riches Eleganza. Now, Tia starts out this challenge already triggered, being that her first bottom performance in her original season was due to a design challenge, and she's staying away from green due to her PTSD. John Burrs cannot let go that she was second place for the neediest and calls out everybody on who voted for who. Arantxa wants to know too because if they didn't vote for John Burrs, then they clearly voted for her. Gothy and Teresa are quiet for a little bit, causing some of the girls to try to figure out who it was. Eventually, they do come forward, and all the girls are honest with each other on who voted for who. Now, there is a funny moment here where Le Grand Dame notices that Tia has all the gold fabric and tries to flirt with Tia to get some materials for herself. And honestly, Le Grand Dame is pretty cute, so I would probably do the same thing as Tia did. So, I hope Tia gets some, and I'm now invested in the storyline, even if it doesn't really exist. Tia also has another storyline here that she wants to do her drag in honor of Cherry Valentine, her UK2 sister that unfortunately passed away in 2022. Now, some of the callouts during Michelle's walkthrough are Anaconda getting called out for hot gluing and using Michelle's least favorite color, green, which is funny because she finishes her outfit first, and all the girls think it's kind of tacky. Now, Rancha describes that since she transitioned as an adult, she uses her drag fashion as a way to really be a teenager now, and it stems from like early 2000 influences, and she gets to really live out those teen years again. While John Bear openly says that the UK girls are sticking together, which is like, girl, did you just admit that out loud? It doesn't really go anywhere, but still, like, why would you say that? Now we get to the runway where again they show off their three categories for this season's ball: Lady Prince Charming, She-Wolf Queen, and Drag to Riches Eleganza. And after all three looks, Gothy, Jonbers, Scarlet, and Tia are all declared safe. Now in our tops, we have the Grand Dame, which, holy crap, she slayed this ball. The first look was really pretty and fashion forward, while also being irreverent with the little blue mustache and the random French noises that she made during her presentation, like living for LGD right now. And then, holy shit, this alien look, I don't even know. Like, this is so awesome with the mask. Like, this is just so cool. Like, I get that it's not necessarily dragged to some degree because she does have, an ugly alien mask on, but I was not expecting this, and I thought this was just such an amazing way to use the Shield Queen category. And for some reason, everybody is really loving to use these crutches. I'm living for this whole invention category here, and eventually we're going to get a category that is going to be like just crutches. Make a look, but keep it crutches. And finally, for her third look here, which is extremely fashion forward, it's just she just did so well here. She literally ate, left no crumbs, clearly licked the plate, asked for seconds, and then did it again. Like she kicked so much ass here. Now, Keta Minaj also does a really good job here with the first look being really cool with the armor, while the second look is just hilarious with the animal. Like, how did she even get this through customs? Now, these international queens, no presentation. The final look is totally on brand for Keta as well too as the evil queen, and it just stands out a lot compared to the rest of her competitors. And finally, we do have Marina also in the top again this week with her Elvis of the Sea look. Yeah, I do agree that her first look, I didn't really get like the masculine in the look, but it still looked good. The second look had to be explained to the judges, even though I kind of really liked it. So unfortunately, that one did kind of fall flat. So her chances of winning probably aren't as high as the other two. But her final look is just so clean, and it could be my favorite final look on the runway. And she says that it's her first dress that she's ever made, which I'm just like, liar, liar. No, it hasn't. You can't. How can you make that dress on the first time you've ever made it? I mean, maybe not. Marina is very talented, so I will give her that. Now, our three bottoms for the week are Hanaconda, who gets credit for her first two looks, as the humor in the first look and the intricateness of the second look are really appreciated. However, her third look definitely lacks quality compared to her first two looks and compared to everybody else around here. Arancha also ends up in the bottom as she gets called out for having her undergarments showing in her first look, and there just not just being enough polish here. Now, I personally love the second Mean Girls look, although I do agree that I wasn't initially clear what it was until I saw the movement. And her final look is also critiqued for having some issues with the fit and her presentation, and it was just so unfortunate that all three of her looks with the judges just did not hit here from the judges' perspective. And finally, we have Theresa May rounding us out the bottoms here, as Michelle critiques the first look while the other judges kind of like it. And the second look was pretty, but there was a bunch of random purple gas, which the edit had a lot of fun playing with, and it made it very difficult to see apparently to the judges on stage. So while the final look is critiqued for the fabric not looking rich, I do also agree that it just seems like it's just a very nice maidly dress, but like it not in this fabric. Like this fabric is not cute. So when everything is revealed here, Marina is saved, while so is Hanaconda from the bottom, and we have a top two of Kenna Minaj and Le Grand Dame, while Rancha Castilla La Mancha and Teresa May unfortunately end up as our bottom two, and our two Spanish queens are sad to have to be up against each other because they are friends outside the show. Keta is grateful to Arancha for letting them use her pattern for the sleeves, so she is tempted to save her, while Teresa views Keta as a player and can't really read what she's going to do. Now, Teresa also views the Grand Dame as the fiercest competitor, feeling she did better in the challenge than Arancha did. The Grand Dame asks if the UK Alliance is real and is not really convinced by her answer when she says that it's not. Now, Arantxa is pushing the fact that there are 4 UK girls here, and it is UK versus the world, to which the Grand Dame seems very receptive to, and is wondering if she needs to play into that theme. To continue playing with this storyline, the Safe Girls are also having their own conversation on the couch, where Scarlett points out that she would eliminate Teresa. Tia asks her if a UK girl deserves to go just because there's 4 of them, to which Scarlett says that's not the only reason why she should go, but Teresa is also a threat. Tia asks Scarlett if she's planning on taking out her competition, to which Scarlett replies, I guess I just said that. She's really trying to be the drama here. Now we get to our second lip sync after Keta and Legrand finally make their lip sync choices, and they are lip syncing to Every Time We Touch by Cascada, which is just gay iconness. Love the song. Now, Keta goes with a pretty serious dancing drag performance while Rondon continues her comedy approach, giving a broken-hearted DJ, and it's actually kind of funny because Keta feels kind of thrown off in the moments by Legrand's movements. So I was actually very entertained by what Legrandon was doing, and the judges were laughing the whole time. So I'm not surprised here when Legrandon takes the win. Now, she is sad and she doesn't want to have to break apart a friendship here, but it is what it is as being the winner here, and she decides to judge fairly, choosing to send, sadly, Miss Arantxa Castillo-La Mancha over Theresa May, allowing the 4 UK queens to survive another day. And gotta say, I am so heartbroken to see Arantxa leave. She's such a sweetheart, and I could see why she was selected to be on the show despite her short run on the first season of España 1, where she was one of my favorites as well in my recent rewatch there. I had her talent show stuck in my head for days, which is hilarious because it's literally just her saying her name. So to say that she did not make an impact in her short time here is a complete understatement. I love that she goes out with her head held high, with one of my favorite exit lines in the franchise to date, just saying no words, only a gesture, and then proceeds to flip off the judges as she walks off the main stage. Priceless. I'm just so happy to see her embrace her journey as a trans woman as well, and despite not having some of the strongest looks at the moment, I really hope we get to see a glow up of Arantxa on our screens in the near future. Episode 3 begins following Arantxa's elimination, as Teresa has a moment because she's sad that her sister has to leave in order for her to stay, and she seems genuinely upset by it. Heather reveals her lipstick's decision was not Arantxa, but Teresa, which is kind of a gag because this doesn't happen very often where there's a difference of opinion in these situations, so we love some tea getting spilled. Teresa thinks it's kind of shady since Keta said that she was going to take out strong competition, but Keta clarifies that it's because Arantxa helped her with her outfit. Scarlett speaks up in defense of Keta, saying it's not all about fairness, to which LGB notes that Scarlett's desire to take out threats shows great insecurity in herself. The plot thickens as the turntables, y'all. Now, for our third maxi challenge called a Drag Race World, they're split into 3 teams of 3, and the queens will create a advertisement for their own Drag Race themed immersive experience. It's supposedly a branding challenge, but still kind of questionable because all the queens kind of interpret it very differently. The winners of the last maxi challenge, Kenna Minaj and LGD, as well as the last queen to survive elimination, Theresa May, will be the team captains. Brown picks Hannah first, followed by Keta picking Tia, who doesn't want to be with Keta. Teresa picks Scarlett. For their second round picks, Legrand takes Jonbers, leaving Gothi and Marina as the last 2 picks. Keta selects Marina, meaning Gothi is automatically on Teresa's team. I go to Team Teresa first, featuring Scarlet Envy and Gothi Kendall. Gothi says that she's never done a challenge like this before on the show. I mean, she hasn't done many challenges like this on the show, so she's not surprised to be picked last. Teresa and Scarlett now take the time to try to make Gothi more confident, noting that they were both picked last in challenges before that they went on to win. So Gothi can do it too, right? Meanwhile, Teresa is a little triggered because everyone failed their green screen challenge in UK3, hoping this one turns out different. We learned that Scarlett has a degree in advertising and is really stepping up to lead her team in a very cohesive direction that allows everyone to shine in their own way. But the main point of contention is in their ad is Gothi's decision to use an overused bukkake joke. That's in every other green screen challenge. You know, the one where they kind of have someone bending over behind someone and they make it look like they're doing something that they're not doing, and then it turns out that they're doing something funny that is not sexual. But you know, Go for it, Gothy. We're here for it. I would be a little bit more nervous for it if it weren't for some of these other teams, though, like Team Keta Minaj with Tia Coffee and Marina Summers. As Tia is also having some doubts on our team because Keta and Marina have an international tourist advert for their countries of representation, and Tia is not sure if that's the most exciting concept, but we're also not really getting that Keta or Marina are like out of the box thinkers like Tia, so it's giving the impression that she's just not into the idea, but Tia's gonna go along with it while also trying to give her teammates some advice. They do some last minute editing to make it fit the drag race immersive experience rule of the challenge, so they do slightly seem a little bit all over the place. Pettis definitely seems to be the least put together as she's just rolling around in some paint with the pit crew, which I think she could have done something a little bit more relatable to Holland that people might know a little bit more because I don't get the reference. Do you get the reference? Because I don't. I mean, I'm not Dutch, but we also can't go that obscure that no one understands what's going on as well. And our third team, Team Le Grand Dame, featuring Hanaconda and John Bird's Blonde. Now, their team idea is to resemble an amusement park where each queen has their own land or district. John Bird's is obsessed with this patty party idea, but forgetting that you can't really wear green on a green screen. LeBron thinks they need to keep their ideas simple, and John Bird's is all over the place. So I think we're really only confident in Hannah because she's won this challenge before on her season. Now, when it comes to filming, LGD is nervous because she's never done a commercial before and she has to do multiple takes. And since they only have so much time here, she eats up literally over half the time, realizing that they don't have much time to film their portions, and it feels her team may have to do a little bit too much between her and John Burst. And because John Burst is going last, it only really leaves her a few minutes to really put her scene together, and it really comes out very nonsensical and chaotic, which is unfortunate, but it is a team challenge and you have to fight for your spot. So John Briz maybe should have probably chosen to go first. Now, this week's runway theme is Reveal Yourself, and we learned that although they competed in teams, they will be judged as individuals, as Teresa, Hannah, and Marina are all safe. We get to our tops for the week as Tia Coffee is our first one, who gets positive critiques for Heidi's being very easy to understand and for being the strongest in her group. But I'm kind of laughing at how her hair looked in the green screen. Don't talk about anybody about my photoshopping skills when you look at her hair on that green screen. And we also have Scarlet Envy as her trench coat reveal. It's kind of basic, but she definitely had the most thought out and just straight to the point ad out of all the others. And she was really funny, and it's clear that she did the most to point her team in the direction that they went in. And she points out that she has an advertising degree. In the same week that we learned that Dawn has an engineering degree, so yay for educated queens here. Go to college, y'all, if you want to do well on Drag Race. And finally, we have Gothy going in the top here, which it turns out her joke was actually really cute because turns around and she's doing some face painting and turning them into tigers, which is Gothy's other thing here. We love the branding, and I actually really like the joke. She is very stiff though, and I do see that, but she is really trying. So we do have to give it that Gothy has finally come full circle and has finally gotten to the top for a challenge. Let's go, girl. Goofy Kendall for the win. Now, our bottoms for the week, we do have Keta, who gets positive critiques for her look, but the judges don't feel like they know Keta any better from her ad, which, I mean, I guess that was the point of the challenge. And you don't know what Keta was doing other than Ketamorphosis. The Grand Dame also ends up in the bottom here, because for Michelle, she doesn't get the ad at all, and doesn't think it was concise enough, but the guest judge actually disagrees and says the Grand Dame was her favorite overall. And then we have John Bird's Blonde also in the bottom, and much like everybody else, none of the jokes really landed, and she was trying to do too much with too little time. And again, it was just not cohesive, more than likely doing with the fact that she had so little time. But I also don't think John Bird's had much of a concept to begin with, so I'm not sure if the extra time really would have helped. So we find out that Gothy Kendall and the Grand Dame are named safe, as Scarlet Envy and Tia Coffee are our top two for the week, and they will have to decide between our bottom two, John Bird's Blonde and Keta Minaj, who will go home. Now, John Birs is devastated for being in the bottom and feels like Tia will definitely save her since they are UK sisters. John Birs also thinks that she is big competition to Scarlet, as she's the only UK queen here that has made a finale before, but I'm kind of surprised all the safe queens are saying that they would send Keta home, even though Keta was just in the top two last week and John Burrs has just been safe this whole time. But Keta, going into their pleas here, appeals to Scarlett's villain side, saying, "Let's be villains together." I think this all editing is make us to decision that it maybe is supposed to be shady if Scarlett does save Keta, especially because like the Safe Queen's discussion here, and because Scarlett is saying that she thinks that the two that are stronger actually is Keta. But we also have Tia admitting that she saw more out of Keta in her ad than she saw for Jonbers. So this is very interesting editing manipulation, editors. I see you. Now Scarlett and Tia ultimately have to go for their lip sync here, and it is to "The Future Is Now" by Kim Petras in front of Kim Petras, which is just like ah, amazing, amazing. Now Scarlett owns this lip sync from start to finish. There's just much more of her style of song here, and she has the pop star look going on. There's just no contest. I also kind of think Tia didn't really want the responsibility for sending someone home here, so she maybe didn't go as hard as she could have. But I say that a lot in these kind of situations, and Tia was just likely outperformed. This is just Scarlett's end episode from start to finish, so this ruling just feels right that she gets the win here. Now, I am still trying to figure out if this is supposed to be a controversial elimination or not in order to give us some drama, but I still think Scarlett did the fair thing here as she eliminates Jonbers Blonde from the competition, and she thinks she did the fair thing as well. As for John Burrs, she definitely had to glow up, and her final look was really good, but I can't say I disagree that she hasn't given me much as the others have this season. Kind of have to respect the slight drag delusion of some of her interviews, though, saying that they were unfair to her, but I'm not sure I agree with her situation, but you know what, John Burrs? Keep that delusion, girl. We love it. So we begin episode 4 with everyone going back to the workroom, and the competition is starting to feel a lot more real to some with the first UK girl eliminated. We learned that a lot of the drama from last episode was clearly curated for the storyline because even Tia chose to eliminate Jobbers. So insert that shady rattlesnake noise here, editors, okay? But we do learn that it was actually strategy on Tia's part because she wanted to get rid of the target off the UK girl's back, and perhaps one of them leaving was for the best for everyone from the UK in the end. So we learned for this week's Maxi Challenge they will be playing the Snatch game, Family Edition, which will basically be Family Feud style, where they'll each be given a prompt and kind of have to give their answers to whoever their team captain is in a Snatch game style answer here. Now, let's look at the history of our queens for Snatch Game, shall we? Hannah, Hedda, and Legrand Dam all won their Snatch Games, while UK queens Teresa and Tia were notoriously sent home for their Snatch Games, while Gothi and Scarlett, even after 2 seasons, has never competed in a Snatch Game. I'm looking at you, Marina. Where is your built-in storyline for this episode, okay? Well, JK, apparently she was top 3, so hopefully she'll do well again here. So Scarlett gets to pick her family for winning the last challenge here, and she selects Anaconda, Theresa May, and Tia Coffee, leaving the other family to be Gothi Kendall, Hannah Minaj, Legrand Dame, and Marina Summers. The biggest drama here is Rue's walkthrough moment with Gothi, where Rue is pushing Gothi, and Gothi kind of gives half-invested answers, and it's all just kind of very cringe, and we're just really hoping that Gothi can snap out of it here. So we get to the Snatch game, and we find out here they will again be split into 2 different families. We have the Jane McDonald family with Legrand Dame as Carla Brundy, Gothi Kendall as Kim Woodburn, Ted Minaj as Fran Drescher, and Manila Summers as Manny Pacquiao. We also have the Sunita family, which consists of Anaconda as Shirley Temple, Scarlet Envy as the Statue of Liberty, Tia Coffee as Anne Boleyn, and ironically Theresa May as Catherine of Aragon, another one of Henry VIII's wives. In seemingly the storyline they want here, it's definitely Team Sunita family that is doing so much better in the Snatch game as the McDonald's are all kind of collectively pretty cringe. And the next morning, all the members of the McDonald family feel pretty vulnerable, but most namely Gothi, Keta, and the Grand Dame. Now their fourth runway is Gone Cruising, aka Nautical Looks, and we find out here that Theresa May and Marina Summers are both safe. As our tops for the week consist of Tia Coffee, as the judges praise her Anne Boleyn being very funny, and they love her latex Ursula look. Rue feels like we're really getting to know Tia for the first time, and I agree. She feels very light and just very in the moment and much more herself than she was her original season. We have Scarlet Envy also in the top as the judges really praise her outside of the box choice for using the Statue of Liberty, which was very clever, but they do feel like she could have pushed it further. They also feel like her look is very gorgeous and very detailed. We also have Hannah Conda rounding out the top three, and I was a little worried for the Shirley Temple, honestly, because we did just see Jimbo kill it during All Stars 8, but Hannah did such a great job in a completely different interpretation of the character. It seems like Jimbo went for a very irreverent, very like adult child, man, child kind of thing here, while Hannah actually took the character somewhat seriously and tried to play like the childhood version of her. They note her brand is equal parts beautiful and over the top, calling her ridiculous. We do have our bottoms for the week. Nicki Minaj, who ends up in the bottom once again. While feeling like she had the look and the laugh of Fran Drescher down, they feel like she was just very lost and just didn't have any fun. Rue notes that Ketta's outfits always have so many details, and she needs to do the same with her acting performances, giving some more nuanced situations here. We also have La Grande Dame, who the judges feel like her choice of Carla Bruni was very weird, saying she was a lot funnier than what she was giving. And the look that she has this week, though, that just saved her just from, being mom just for this look. Just imagine having Jean Paul Gaultier, deciding all of your runway looks for you. Like I would just leave now at that point if, if this is what I was competing against, because this is gorgeous. And rounding out the bottom, we have Gothy Kendall, which to be expected, because the judges all call Gothy out for being far too reserved for being Kim Woodburn, and they feel like her runway is also very simple and safe in comparison to everybody else on the show. Who actually has a great note that sometimes we take ourselves far too seriously, and sometimes we need to let that child inside come out and play. We learned here that Scarlet Envy and the Grand Dame are safe, meaning our top two for the week will be Hannah Conda and Tia Coffee, as they will have to decide between Gothy Kendall and Keta Minaj who will go home. Most of the drama leading up to the main stage seems to be about Gothy's confidence and whether or not she thinks she can improve enough during the show, as each episode here she's trying something for the first time that she's likely not to be successful at, as there are other more experienced competitors in the competition here. However, the fact that Keta has also been in the bottom twice in a row definitely cancels out her top two win in week two, but they also feel like she is really strong competition given that she was top four in her original season and probably should have definitely been in the top two for sure, but let's not say she was rigged out or anything. But you know what? Seems like things could be a lot more equal than we thought going into this, but Tia also notes that perhaps this is the time for her strategic villain era to take over. We get our fourth lip sync to Crying at the Discotheque by Alcazar, and this is kind of a fun one here. Never heard the song before. But Tia influences a lot more comedy into her lip sync, while Hannah tries to go for a lot more serious route, which is weird considering Hannah is comedy queen. But it is a fun time, and Tia pretends to cry a lot, but she's smiling in the end here, where she finally gets her Peter badge after 2 seasons, winning her first lip sync of the season. Now, what will Tia do here? She notes that Keta is already a fully realized queen, while Gothy can use the experience to truly grow. And for that, Tia saves her UK sister and sends Keta Minaj home back to Holland. And I have to say, this is a rather surprising decision in theory, but definitely a decision I expected based on how the edit has gone so far. While I do think Gothy is likely to just be on the bottom and will bottom her way to the end if she ends up getting that far, I can't blame Tia because Keta was definitely the bigger threat, who just wasn't showing as well as she could. Keta has one of the most tragic track records in the history of the show, and it's just unfortunate she leaves again before the finale when she absolutely deserved to make one. Now, episode 5 begins as Tia is happy to have her full circle moment for getting a repeater badge in Snatch Game after it was what sent her home in her season before. Tia explains that all she wanted in her season was to get through Snatch Game, so she's happy she could give that opportunity to Gothy this season, even though she didn't give it to Keta. Judging you, Tia. Anyway, Tia's badge is also the first badge for the UK in this competition. It's also like, well, UK versus the world is kind of being dominated more by the world now, isn't it? A little shady. Anyway, speaking of Gothy, Hannah reveals that she chose Gothy's lipstick for elimination, saying that now is the time she needs to start applying the judges' critiques because up until now, she hasn't been. Interestingly enough, Gothy and Hannah are in the same position as Teresa as they are the halfway point, and none of them have any badges. So clearly now it's time. Get a badge or get F out. Now Rue enters the workroom and reveals the library is open. I say this reading challenge was pretty cute. Everyone has a fun joke or two, but nothing gut busting. Coffee actually is surprisingly good at this, but it's Tia Coffee who is named the winner. In what sounds like the hardest musicals concept of all time, which may have been brought about by the writer's strike, the international queens must write lyrics, stage themselves, and sing live in seven Confessions of a Drag Queen, which is a playoff of Six, a 2017 Tony Award winning British musical comedy retelling the lives of Henry VIII's six wives presented in the form of a pop concert, which is also kind of ironic considering Teresa and Tia did two of their wives already in the Snatch game. So, um, judging this a little bit. So this very much so is a like the girl groups challenge meets the musical with the theme of the show to be their drag race journeys, and each performance will be a different musical genre. And Tia is in charge of assigning the verses. As it's a musical, our drama tends to center around picking the parts, as Gothi and Legrand both want the slower fifth verse, but both are not really wanting to close the show as that's the only part left. Figuring this is the perfect time to prove herself, Tia decides to have Gothi close the show in what will likely be her make or break moment this season. The Queens meet with their vocal and lyric coach, Self Esteem, and she gives them some really good advice. Seems like the biggest advice here is the clarity in their words, especially for Legrandin and Marina, while Gothi gets told she needs to infuse her personality. Someone who doesn't need to infuse her personality, though, is Hannah, who is really trying to use her campiness to her advantage here. They also have to choreograph themselves, and this seems like the hardest part of this whole challenge. There's a pretty lousy moment here where Hannah is just not vibing with the choreo, and Carla thinks it's just because she just doesn't want to do anything. Gothy and Legrandin seem to have the hardest time with the choreo portion, though, which is a little bit concerning heading into the challenge. Now, before we get back to the challenge here, though, there's a really touching moment in the workroom the next morning when T explains most of her headspace for her original season, saying her mother was really unwell during the taping process, and due to COVID, she was not able to be with her mother or show off any of her iconic moments from the show with her. But in yet another full circle moment, Kia realizes that coming back this season means she gets to share these moments with her father and the rest of her family. And it's like, okay, this season has really been all about Tia from the start and her family. You are not doing a very good job of hiding who you guys want us to be rooting for at this moment. So we get to seven Confessionals of a Drag Queen, and I gotta say this challenge is kind of lulzy. Like, I'm not sure how I feel about calling this a Rusical. Even though they are singing live, it's like this choreo is just kind of meh, and it definitely feels like they designed this themselves. I just feel like the performance value kind of suffers a little bit, but even with how simple like the choreo is, Gothi is still forgetting things, and it's just like, oof, like this whole performance feels like it's just a combination of Gothi just to the whole story, just failing and trying to just get through it. And I'm proud of her sticking through it and having a positive attitude through it because it was just a struggle. But it just feels like she was just trying to get by on like a 60% battery instead of actually like fully charging herself here. Like challenges like this really prove why Drag Race is probably the hardest competition reality TV show out there, and they did well for the little bit of time they had to prepare for it, and I doubt that I could do any better. So I will give them their flowers here. Now their fifth runway category is When I Glow Up, a recreation of a previous season's look. And our tops for the week are Tia Coffee, as the judges really enjoy her stage presence, and she's very self-aware during her performance. And Tia is very comfortable with herself, which makes it very easy and comfortable to watch her according to the judges. Marina Summers is also in the top as the judges believe she has the biggest glow up, and she has a fully realized pop star tonight. Rue gives Marina the Born Did You Drag comment, which is like, okay, Marina, I guess, is not going to be the winner. She's going to be our Rob Goss this year. Because, like, that was such an amazing performance here. But I'm always so afraid when anybody gets that comment from Rue, because I feel like that's always like the kiss of death, that they're going to do well, but probably lose ever since Christopher Versace got it in UK3. She's the only winner I want to say that's gotten that comment. Everybody else has like just been like a tragic Rob Goddess here. So prayers from Marina that won't happen to her. Now, we do get our bottoms here that are gothy, because the judges respect the commitment to not knowing the Rusical, quote, again, unquote. But they really joined her for all of the wrong reasons, which I gotta say I agree with, because she was entertaining, but not because she knew what she was doing. Gothy said she really tried to enjoy it, and that really makes us want to root for her, so it's nice to see this isn't a traumatizing moment. But as Michelle says, Gothy clearly is just not ready yet. Teresa is also on the bottom as the judges give the "I could see your nerves" comment to her, but this time they back it up with actually showing her hand kind of shaking during the performance, which I didn't see initially, but I'm glad they showed it with some video footage this year at least. Teresa says that she's gotten to her head just a little bit because she had to be the opening performance, and the judges aren't really sure that the glow up look is as great as much as the others here. So when we get through the judging here, Scarlet Envy, Hanaconda, and the Grand Dame, who's a fucking condom, by the way, y'all, is safe. So our top two again will be Marina Summers and Tia Coffee, and our bottom two, Theresa May and Gothy Kendall. So it's like another episode, another Gothy bottom two, but this week she's up against her UK sister, Teresa. However, it seems like Gothy has a bit of a breakthrough at this moment, realizing she kind of has the superpower of people rooting for her despite her constant underperforming. We love that white privilege. No, just playing. Just playing. Sorry, I had to say that, but it's no. She does have such a likable quality about her, even though she is just constantly doing bad. You want her to do so much better, and I'm like, I get that. Like, she's just such a likable presence, and she's obviously trying. But is it enough for her to just keep scrapping by here? What is kind of making this interesting though is that people are not responding to Teresa in the same way that I was expecting her to be is just to be like an instant save against Gothy because she's actually been in the bottom two twice now, whereas Gothy's been in the bottom three times now. So I mean, two and three, are they really that different numbers here? I mean, not really, especially because the other queens don't feel like they really believe in Teresa's passion. And we feel like we're setting up a moment here where is Teresa gonna become the new Gothy, or is Gothy gonna actually stay over Teresa? What? Teresa just needs a moment because she wants to prove herself in the competition, and she just hasn't been able to do so yet. We get to our fifth lip sync, which is Marina Summers versus Tia Coffee to Fucking Wizardry by Self Esteem, and it turns out this will be the battle for who will be the first to get their second badge. And while this was a fun lip sync, Marina just totally goes off here. I love that she literally just does her little slow mo runway look over the shoulder thing that they just were living for this episode here. During all the slow moments of the song is both hilarious and stunning, and I am just not shocked at all that Marina is declared the winner here. Like, Marina is just such a standout this season. I'm loving her so much. And despite her saving her in the first round's elimination, Marina decides this week that there have been enough second chances for Gothy Kendall as UK's Pork Chop leaves UK versus the World to in seventh place. This has definitely been quite the journey for Gothy, and typically watching a queen consistently place low over and over is not the most exciting storyline for this competition. But what actually made this kind of intriguing here was the fact that she is a first boot. So to see her kind of come back after a few years and have a chance on the main stage again, it was something I actually really appreciated. Just it was a very unique storyline that we haven't really seen since usually a queen is booted first and never ever comes back. It seems like perhaps Gothy may have finally had an epiphany at the end regarding her true superpower, which is her genuine rootability. So it does feel like this was truly like a genuine rooting experience and learning experience for her that we just kind of love to see. And hopefully, I would love to see maybe like even like 5 years from now, UK All Stars 3, 4, bring Gothy back. Would love to kind of see where her progress is, and we could just kind of keep checking up on her over the years. Like, it would be fun. I'd be here for it. That was literally the only reason why I was not completely annoyed by this whole storyline, as much as it just seemed kind of basic that we kind of had a queen that we knew probably wasn't going to win, considering that she was eliminated so early in her season. But to see her come back and get a second chance was just really cool. So I'm gonna stop talking about it and just be very happy that we got to see a little bit more Dr. Kendall on our screen here. So we're here at episode 6, y'all, and it's following Gothy's elimination as the Queens unpack, sending her home as Tia reveals she also would have sent her UK sister home. Teresa's happy to have a second, well, I guess I should say a third chance now since she's only been in the bottom this whole season. And since Gothy is not really competition here anymore, it's only Teresa and Hannah who are currently left badgeless, even if Hannah is now attempting to make counterfeit badges here. Now, in a throwback to one of my favorite Drag Race US challenges here, and it's something we have not seen in years, we are finally getting another pure dancing challenge. The queens will be split into pairs in Strictly Come Prancing, and while in half male, half female drag, we'll have to dance either the quick step, tango, or samba. As the winner of the previous challenge, Marina has total control of the pairings and the assignment of the dances. Knowing she is good at dancing regardless of what she does, she tries to keep things even by pairing everyone together by height, meaning our pairs would be Anaconda and Marina Summers, Theresa May and Scarlet Envy, and Le Grand Dame and Tia Coffee. But Tia is skeptical of this pairing because the Grand Dame can't dance and wondering how they are going to do lifts because they're both so lanky. But Legrand doesn't think Tia can dance either, so it's just like, ooh, this pair is kind of a little bit sketchy going into this. The Grand Dame also wants to dance with the least amount of steps, which is kind of funny because they end up getting the quick step, while Hannah and Marina end up getting the tango, and Teresa and Scarlett have. Oop, just kidding. With Hannah and Marina choosing the samba, and Teresa and Scarlett getting the tango. Now, they also learn their choreo from the members of the Strictly Come Dancing show, Jeanette Marara and her husband, Aljaz Sorjanik, who is like, oh my god, wow, I just got really thirsty of a sudden. Hold up, one moment here. So we have our sixth runway, which is business in the front, party in the back, which again, I'm not really sure what this was supposed to be. Maybe like some sort of like mullet interpretation. I don't really know because everybody does something different on the runway. But we get our performance here, and it's actually a lot of fun. But when it comes to the judging here, things are pretty clear as who our top team are and who our bottom two teams are, as Hannah and Marina doing the samba is just so good. We learn here that Hannah is actually the child of some ballroom dancers, which is like I never saw coming, which is a good thing to hear because their dance is really fast. But they end up doing is so good here. They end up leaving no crumbs. Marina is just technically so perfect here, and it's just easily the most eye-catching. Hannah is doing a great job keeping up with her as well too, and is standing out as well. Judges agree that they're the most technically correct and eye-catching as well, and there's just positive critiques all around for both of them, which means our other two teams will be our bottom teams. And Chris and Scarlett think they will really succeed with the dramatic and theatrical side of the challenge, hoping to place more on that portion than the technical. And they definitely seem to be struggling with the technical, taking a while to pick up on the choreo during their practice. And for myself, they feel the most in their heads during their performance, as we know Scarlett went home on a dancing challenge in her original season, and she isn't the strongest dancer, but she's doing a really good job here. But it does feel like Teresa is just thinking way too much and is not having any fun. The judges actually also say that Teresa brought down Scarlett's performance, which is like, oof, that's not good, Teresa, to be having that being said out on the main stage. Now, we also have Legrandam and Tia doing the quick step, and while it seems like they were the right to be the most worried because they take their longest to do their choreo overall, but they also seem to have the most chemistry as a duo, which is actually a really good thing because when I'm watching them, I don't even know if they're doing the right choreo or not, but having so much fun because they're having fun. And the judges agree that they are the most fun to watch, even though they're not doing their moves correctly at all. So it just goes to show that there's something still captivating about a performance that is just driven by fun versus a situation here where you're just constantly worried about things being in your head. So it actually is a really good life lesson to just have fun, let go, be yourself, enjoy things, and don't care about the consequences, because at the end of the day, if you're in your head, you're going to be even more stifled than you would be otherwise. So I definitely kind of agree with all of the critiques for this episode. And after the judges make their decisions, they decide that Le Grand Dame and Tea Coffee are safe, and they place Hanaconda and Marina Summers, not surprisingly, in the top two, with Teresa May and Scarlet Envy fortunately being our bottom two for this episode. So while I don't think that there's any question here, like I clearly would go into this assuming that Teresa, being that this is her third time in the bottom, should just be, just put her out of her misery here. Like she can't do anything. Like she's not at the same level as everybody else here. Unfortunately, here needs a little bit more time to bake. Whereas Scarlett's already had a win. But there is some drama here because again, although she doesn't have the strongest track record, Scarlett's desire to be the drama earlier in the competition may have rubbed some of the queens the wrong way, as it seems like they were very eager to kind of make a big move to take her out. And although Scarlett is saying all the right things, it feels like both Hannah and Marina might be vibing more with Teresa's pitch, which makes you wonder if they're going to make that big move that we've been waiting for all season. That like UK versus the World One was just built on is just big move after big move after big move. Will one finally be made tonight? Will something interesting finally happen? Because there's only one more elimination in their control after tonight. We get their lip sync to Release Me by Agnes, and oh my god, Marina does such an amazing job here. She has such an amazing reveal. Like, I don't even think I looked to Hannah during this performance at all because Marina just went off. Like, release me, Marina, from your slangs here, please. And oh, holy crap, she gets her third badge now in a row after winning that lip sync. Insane. She cannot be stopped. Marina Summers, clearly the winner of this season, even though they're trying to push Tia so much. Marina, remember that name. Marina Summers, the true winner. So the real question here is, will Marina make the move? Well, no, she doesn't. She deservedly takes out Teresa, which I'm fine with because I mean, literally, three times in the bottom, like that's a little rough to still be here in the top six. Like, Teresa pretends to be all shocked. And I think it's definitely again she's pretending. It's a joke. It's hilarious. And Marina can't keep it together afterwards. So at least there is some some fun, some lightheartedness here. I don't really have that much to say about Teresa though, just because I feel like she kind of got into her head a lot the last few weeks since we're kind of like heading into close to the same time where she was eliminated her original season. And it's kind of sad that she basically left in the same spot she left last time. But I ultimately think that this is the most fair decision because Scarlett has a badge again. And suddenly Tia's left as like the only UK queen against some very strong international casting here. And I'm not sure how they're going to justify trying to push Tia again here because Marina is doing so good. Episode 7, and we are down to just 5 remaining queens, and the tension is finally heating up. As Hannah, again, is the only queen left without a badge, despite winning the last challenge. Marina feels good that she gave Scarlett another chance, given that she had just given Teresa another chance the week prior, but Scarlett is worried about how her bottom placement will affect everyone's thoughts about her moving forward. Scarlett is thrown even more of a gag when Hannah reveals she didn't care about Tracker to begin with, and was actually holding Scarlett's lipstick, meaning had Hannah won, Scarlett wouldn't even be here right now. Like, that's kind of shady for Hannah to do this, but Scarlett notes that it's likely because Hannah doesn't want to be the only one left without a badge, which kind of tracks. Now, we get our seventh mini challenge, which is a dance off here in quick drag. And one by one, they're eliminated as the DJ speeds up the music, and things are just ridiculous to watch. Now, Tia is out first, followed by LGD and Scarlett, leaving Marina and Hannah as our last two. Now, Hannah is rolling with punches, and it's kind of giving me flashbacks to her Shirley Temple Snatch game tap dancing thing, since the music is just speeding up and speeding up. So I'm not surprised that she just makes Rue the laugh most in this and ends up winning the mini challenge. Rue then announces they will be competing in the Haters Wedding Roast, a wedding themed roast for the fictitious wedding between judges Michelle Visage and Graham Norton. They get some coaching from comedian Catherine Ryan, and it's pretty even around the playing field here, as none of them have previously competed in a roast on their original season. After their seventh runaway performance here at the bridal theme, we learned here that if you're not in the top, you're in the bottom. And our tops this week are Anaconda, who gets critiques probably for having the strongest performance out of everybody here. She's extremely likable, while obviously having some very cutting jokes. And her bridal look is definitely a glow up within her own season, which she gets a lot of praise for. Tia Coffee is the other top this week as the judges really praised Tia for knowing herself and delivering a true to herself performance that was both well written and well performed. Obviously, the judges have been living for Tia this entire season, and this challenge is no different. And again, while no one flopped this week, if you weren't in the top, then you're in the bottom, which unfortunately again is really bad for our last three queens who did not do bad at all. LGD notes that she didn't really get to do roast in France, mostly because French culture doesn't really lend itself well to this type of performance, and they really admired her commitment despite some of her jokes not really landing. Now, guest judge Catherine Ryan felt like Marina Summers had one of the strongest sets during practice, but unfortunately a lot of her set fell flat because Marina didn't really have a lot of like natural comedic timing for her set, and she would get into her head a lot during her delivery, and that would kind of kill the joke, unfortunately. And that's why Marina ends up in the bottom after having so many weeks of performing amazingly. And it's like, oh my God, don't do this to Marina here. And we also have Scarlet Envy rounding out the bottom three, as the judges feel like she had some funny jokes, but the guest judge was also kind of surprised that she wasn't getting many laughs. But they feel like it might be because she was trying to force the joke a bit, and Rue notes she was trying to use this voice that was just really put on, and it just didn't work as effectively as I think Scarlett wanted it to. So the top two, Hanaconda and Tia Coffee, are named the winners of this week, and our bottom three, La Grande Dame, Marina Summers, and Scarlet Envy, are all up for elimination. Most of the drama leading up to the main stage seems to be about what is going to happen with Marina. Are they going to take the chance to take her out? Or are they going to go by track record here and take out who is probably the most serving queen to lead based off of the judge's perspective, which would be Scarlet, even though Scarlet also has a win. We get to our final lip sync of the season here before our lip sync smackdown, which is Hanaconda and Tia Coffee to Euphoria by Loreen. And Tia says that her lip sync is a tribute to the Eliminated Queens, but she's pulling out like these really tiny fabric objects. And I'm like, what are these? I can't even see. Like, I think maybe I saw a 3-leaf clover for Jombers, but I don't know what she was doing here. Hannah had a reveal into this very stunning fabric that she starts spinning around. It just works very well to the song, and I'm still just trying to figure out what Tia is doing here as they declare Hannah is the winner. So, as Tia is what the fucking around the stage, Hannah is actually awarded her first badge win after 3 times in the top. But now it's time for her big decision: who will join herself and Tia in the finale? Deciding not to stray too far from what she's done in the past, Anna reveals that she's once again holding Scarlett's lipstick, and our last standing American is eliminated right before the finale. I've got to say, I feel for Scarlett because she's always been a queen known for going home before her time, and I really feel like a lot of things were kind of coming together for her season. But ultimately, the others were just kind of shining a little bit more brighter and more consistently than she was. It's hard to argue against someone else being eliminated here. Scarlett was in the bottom the most out of them and was in the top the least out of those left. But it still doesn't make me any less sad to see her leave. But ultimately, we have a very strong Final Four as Australia's Hanaconda, France's La Grande Dame, Philippines' Marina Summers, and the UK's Tia Coffee are our grand finalists who will face off in a lip sync smackdown to be crowned the queen of the mother tucking world. So going into our grand finale, Marina Summers is the frontrunner with 3 badges and top placements. Then we have Tia Coffee with 1 badge, 4 tops, Anaconda with 1 badge, 3 tops, and La Grande Dame with 1 badge, 2 tops. Rue invites all our finalists on board a trip to take part in the final lip sync smackdown to determine who will be the queen of the mother tucking world. But first, they will have a quick layover in memory lane, meaning reunion time, y'all, which I actually like that we're combining the reunion into the finale since we don't really need an episode for both just based on the lack of drama for this season. And actually, there's not really much here. And they probably could have just gotten away with having all these conversations in an untucked segment, as it's really everyone just revealing why they eliminated each other and no one really even gets all that heated about it, which is kind of like, boo, blow up on each other. This is what we're waiting for, and we get nothing. But they do crown a Miss Congeniality, insert obligatory pick crew member here, and they crown Arancha Castilla-La Mancha, which is like, yay, I love Arancha, and she's just such a sweetheart, so I'm just very see that someone very genuinely deserving of it gets the sash. Now we go back to the main stage where the cast walks the runway for their finale eleganza extravaganza as the judges give them their obligatory positive critiques about how great each of them are. After one more final drink in Untucked, it is time for our lip sync smackdown for the world. So again, y'all know the rules by now. Our final four is split into 2 lip sync matches where the winners move on to face off against each other in one final lip sync for the crown. There's a slight twist this season as they get an additional space on the wheel for every badge they've won in this competition, meaning Marina literally has 4 spots on this wheel. Like, what? The others all have 2, and I'm thinking at first, is this equal? But then once it's revealed that the person who is spun first gets to pick their opponent, I guess it all makes sense because Marina gets spun here, obviously, because she has half the spots on this wheel, and she chooses to have one last samba with her dance partner, Anaconda. They will be lip syncing to I'm Out of Love by Anastasia in the first round, and It turns out Hannah actually knows the song. I still found myself enjoying Marina a little bit more, even though she was kind of off her game with the song a little bit. I don't know, I was noticing a little bit of a lack of energy or a lack of maybe the Marina presence that we normally get here, but I think that probably has a lot more due to the edit, just because it does seem like the edit was favoring Hannah and the fact that she pulled out those sunglasses and her little microphone. And I'm just kind of thinking this is kind of weird honestly, when I'm watching it. But okay, I'm still thinking Marina is gonna win. But I gotta say, I am gagged here that they give the win to Hanaconda, making her her first top two finalist and eliminating frontrunner Marina Summers in literally the first lip sync of the night. Like, this has got me gooped, gagged. Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, it definitely feels a little, a little questionable here. She was clearly the front runner here. And again, it seems like they wanted a shock moment, but they also needed to maybe clear her out of the way in order to make plans for who they had as their true front runner. Kind of excited to see this fan backlash here. This just got uploaded last night. I'm gonna try to get this out here early, so haven't really read anything on like Twitter or anything about what people are thinking, but I can't wait to see the Marina summertime just take over the springtime all over Twitter and just the fans go mad here. Because I am literally kind of up in arms about why is she not here a finalist. Although I do get why production-wise. So that leaves the Grand Dame and Tia Coffee to face off in round two of our lip sync smackdown to Boogie Tonight by Booty Love. And it was a narratively nice way to kind of cap off their story, considering they've kind of had that flirt man since the beginning, and then they were the quick step duo here. So it was kind of nice to see them go off, together as well here. So narratively based off storylines, I'm fine with it. And this was actually a really fun lip sync. I think Le Grand Dame does well, but Tia has a lot of fun reveals here, including a confetti popper. And then she has some beer bottles that she breaks over her head, which is something I haven't seen on the main stage before. She does really well in this one, and I'm not surprised when Tia Coffee is declared the winner and will be facing off in one final lip sync for the crown. Fortunately, that means Le Grand Dame does go home here. And even though I do agree with this decision, it still sucks because I have grown to really love LGD. By far the best catalogs of looks that I've seen on the main stage in some time here. Plus, I love her humor and the fact that she's able to be equal parts beautiful and hilarious. That's really the full package to me. And I'm so glad that this experience got to reveal an international queens that we probably wouldn't have watched otherwise here, like Marina Summers and the Grand Dame. I'm honestly going to really go back later on here and rewatch her season as well as Marina's season, just because I really like these two queens. It's very unfortunate that they both will be leaving here at this point in time, but that does leave us with a top two of Hanaconda versus Tia Coffee. Blue Hydrangea returns to the main stage as the winner of our first season of UK versus the World to crown our queen. And there's a hilarious moment when they reveal that there's a cash prize this season, and Blue is shocked by it. Yep, sorry, they have a budget, Blue, and all you could do is sit there and watch as either Hanaconda or Tia Coffee will become about 50,000 pounds richer here as they lip sync to our final song of the season, Your Disco Needs You by Kylie Minogue. And I'm kind of like, oh wait, this is not a UK song. Kylie's an Aussie. Are they going to give it to Hannah? Or is this why Hannah ended up winning and had to face off against Tia here? Because we needed an Aussie in this top two here with this song. Judging you, production. Anyway. Tia starts out really well here in this lip sync, but Hannah kind of takes over with her reveal into this pretty gold dress that she has here. Then Tia runs over to LGD and has a gag during the French interlude of the song. It's kind of a toss up. They both have a really fun ending here where they go back to the back of the stage, strike a pose, and then Tia pulls out a bottle and bashes it on Hannah's head, to which she pretends to be knocked out. It was a lot of fun. They're both really talented. So although Marina is not here and I'm still kind of gagged over it, we're still at least bound for a good winner. And when it is revealed, the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the World 2 is Tia Coffee. So the Baroness of Basic has officially become the queen of the mother tucking world. You gotta love that storyline there. Although I do feel some kind of way about her win, I'm not gonna take it away from her because she was a huge force in this competition. She had a very genuine glow up, and I've really enjoyed her comedic performances in this season, and a lot of her looks were just really good here. It definitely seemed kind of telegraphed from the first moment of the fact she entered first that Tia was gonna win, at least from my perspective here. And I think that is my biggest issue with the format, that it just seems like it's just really made to prop up the home country queens under the guise of it being an international all-star season. I'll still likely watch because I want to support the queens, and at the end of the day, they're not the ones behind these production decisions, so we shouldn't be taking it out on them since they don't really have a hand in what happens at all. But suppose I would be slightly wary if I was one of those international queens that gets a call for a Future versus the World season. That's all I'm saying there. But congratulations to Tia Coffee, an amazing winner. So glad she won here. Did y'all enjoy the season? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe so you can get more comments so we can keep spilling that tea, y'all. Until next time, this is Renegade signing out. Bye!